Someone in Hypergriff not only decided to add a vampire as an operator, but they also made her do the opposite of what vampires do, giving blood. Irony aside, I have overlooked Warfarin for too long, and I did not understand why she was used in high-risk clears during contingency contracts, as well as during boss fights. I believe it's the time for you and myself to finally acknowledge her incredible abilities and learn why she is used a lot in difficult levels. Warfarin is a single target medic, or medic. Why is there a repetition? Just call it single target medic! As the name suggests, this medic class heals one target at a time. In addition to that, Warfarin is not only there to heal your operators, but she's also a battery as shown by her talent, and gives attack buffs that makes wiping out tough enemies feels like a walk in the park. This is why you most often see her being used in boss levels and high-risk clears. Out of the 4 medic classes in the game, single target medic has the highest base attack, followed by therapists, if I'm not mistaken. In a lot of cases, the role of single target medics and AoE medics are interchangeable. However, there are some situations where one of them performs better than the other on the battlefield. As I previously mentioned, Warfarin is a battery operator, which means she provides skill points to nearby allies. Warfarin's talent, Blood Sample Recycle, restores 2 skill points to herself and a random ally when an enemy is killed within her range. In my Telopsis video, I compared how fast Warfarin's talent can fully charge Blaze's skill 2 against Telopsis. Although the outcome of that experiment was very close, Warfarin can easily have the advantage when the target can eliminate multiple enemies at once. One thing to keep in mind here is that Warfarin's talent is fully RNG. In order to utilize this talent's full potential, it's best that you keep the number of operators in a range to a minimum so that you can charge up the skills much faster and to avoid, randomness. Okay, this is the first time in my Spotlight series where I'm not just gonna ditch the first skill. Skill 1 is called Emergency Triage, which allows Warfarin to restore an additional HP based on the max HP of the target. This skill only activates when the target operator is below 50% HP, and it is a good skill to make sure that your frontline operators stay alive. I can't be bothered to conduct my own test, but this footage from Neko Gitsune demonstrates Warfarin's skill 1 in action. Keep in mind that their Warfarin is at Mastery 3, as you can see from the number of charges she has. From the footage, you can clearly see that Warfarin is able to heal everyone with little to no problem, considering the enemy in this stage are the Sarkis swordsmen and crossbowmen, and on top of that, you have Faust. This skill works best when you invest in its mastery, but it should not be your top priority because the next skill is way more powerful and has a lot more benefits compared to this one. Skill 2, Unstable Plasma, is what Warfarin is known for. With this skill, Warfarin applies an attack buff that makes any living being vaporized. The buff from this skill is one of the most powerful buffs in the game, almost on par with Ark's skill 3, I would say. You always see this skill being used to eliminate bosses as well as high-risk clears. The buff can go as high as 90% at Mastery 3. To put this into perspective, let's use Ashe as our subject because these two were common pairs back in CC6. The calculation is pretty easy, and I'm gonna do it correctly this time. Ashe's base attack at Elite 2 level 90 is 534. Warfarin's buff is additive, so all you have to do is take 90% of Ashe's attack, 534, and add it on to itself. That brings her attack to a non-stunned enemy to 1015. So it's almost double, basically. This skill is also randomized when it comes to selecting a target, so the best way to avoid her skill being wasted on an unwanted operator, Myrtle, it's best to minimize the operators within her range, maybe keep it to 1 and at maximum 2, because you don't want to rely fully on the RNG to make sure you land the buff at the right operator. Do note that this skill drains both Warfarin's and the targeted operator's health by 3% throughout the duration of the skill. And 3% isn't that much from what I've seen so far, as long as your operator has enough health and the fact that Warfarin heals as well while the buff is being applied. So you don't need to worry. In order to use this skill effectively, you need to be mindful where you are positioning Warfarin to minimize the amount of randomness that you're gonna bring into the battlefield. if you like what you've seen so far, I would highly appreciate it if you hit that like button. The last video on Leonhardt did amazingly well, and if this video performs about the same or even better, I will surely make more of it. Before I come to my conclusion, there are a few comparisons that I want to make. Warfarin's first skill is similar to that of Gavial. The difference here is that Gavial's skill always activates with no requirements, and she heals double the amount if an operator reaches below 50%. In terms of raw numbers, Gavial clearly has the advantage, but when I tested her in stage S5-9, she was struggling to keep up when there's a large pool of enemies because her skill triggers the instant an operator takes a hit, which makes her burn through her charges very quickly. Meanwhile, Warfarin used her skill only when it's necessary, and it appears that she could hold the line much better than Gavial. But this is just one test. If you try in a different level with a different team composition, then it may have a different result. Just keep that in mind. Regarding her second skill, it is on par with Ak, except Warfarin doesn't kill a friendly operator like this motherfucker. Anyway, Ak's skill 3 also gives an attack buff, as well as an attack speed buff. Interestingly, Ark's skill 3 is often used alongside Warfarin's skill 2. But I would prefer to use Warfarin's buff because I don't want to risk killing my operator every time I need them to be stronger. It seems counterintuitive. Warfarin is compatible with any squad composition, as long as you know how to use her properly. Skill 1 is a decent skill, suitable for frontline operators, but it requires some investments for it to be effective. At least get it to level 7, or if you have the time and resources to do so, bring it to mastery. Skill 2 gives a massive attack buff to a random operator in range, but you need to be mindful when deploying so that her RNG doesn't fuck you over because she doesn't buff the operator you want. It's a minor inconvenience that you can easily get around it. At the time of recording, there are no modules for single target medics, but she does have some amazing looking skins. You know what else is amazing? All of you beautiful people who watch my videos, and I can't thank you enough for your support. As always, give this video a like, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!